What's up, everyone? Welcome to Creator Support, the show where we answer your questions about the business of being a creator. Today on the show, we are talking about 12 lessons we've learned from 12 years of being on YouTube.
We also talk about our experience at VidCon, the announcement of A/B testing on YouTube, and we discuss walking YouTube, a very interesting genre on YouTube.
All right, if you make it to the deep end, let us know. All right, back from VidCon. First live episode of Creator Support.
Yeah, what an experience.
That was an experience. First of all, thank you everyone who came to that. That was really cool. To do this show live in front of people at VidCon was really special, and to meet all of you. And one of the biggest teams that showed out for that was the Discord team, meaning literally the people who work at Discord.
Mm-hmm.
I appreciate that. Thank you, Discord, for coming out to that, and thank you guys for supporting this show and sponsoring this episode. I want to talk about something that Discord launched before we get into the rest of the show, which is server subscriptions. Now, when we first started talking to Discord about doing a partnership, this was something that we were really excited about, and a large part of why we launched our Discord, because we knew it was coming. Server subscriptions is essentially launching paid tiers inside of the Discord where we can actually gate content. So we can launch a media channel where we have BTS content. If you're a subscriber, we can have different tiers. We can even do gated access to live stages, which we've been doing a lot of. And the split with Discord is 90-10. So creators get 90%, Discord gets 10%.
So here's why I like server subscriptions.
Hit me.
As a YouTube creator, you want to intimately get to know your audience, right?
Yes.
Before you end up launching anything that they can transact with.
100%.
I believe the same thing applies to community.
Mm-hmm.
Discord is where we truly get to understand our community. We've added channels, we've done live AMAs. We can actually understand what's valuable. What would someone want more of, right? Yeah. And then you can put something in place where there's a paywall. And I think people kind of don't think about the fact that you need to understand community before you can start charging for anything.
Yeah, when we launched the Discord community, it was kind of like, we have an idea of what it could be, but the community takes it and says, here's what's valuable to us. And so now we can gauge that and say, okay, here's where the community has taken things. And not only can we look at that, we can also just ask. Because we have a built-in community and say, hey, what do you guys think would be cool for a server subscription? Now, there'll always be free channels that you can engage with, right? Like, we have no intention of making the whole thing gated, but I think it would be cool to have BTS content, videos, show you stuff that maybe like only a specific group of people are interested in, maybe some gear stuff.
Conversations that maybe don't make sense for the creator support channel, but do make sense.
I have a lot of interest in experimenting with different types of content. We were with Ali Abdal recently, and I want to share some stuff that I'm really excited to share, and I would love to test it in a community that's not only like a safe community to share, but also one that's asking for those things. And you know, I think subscribing to something and like paying for something is the best vote of saying, I would like this, right?
Yeah.
I find this to be valuable. And the great thing is, if you don't want to pay for it, you don't have to.
Yeah, there's an element of accountability there when you pay for something.
Yeah.
Similar to paying for a gym membership. You're like, I should go to the gym. And I feel like with content, there's a similar type of thing where there's an accountability to the creator as well as to yourself. Are you happy with where you're investing your time and your money? And it makes the connection to the content, I think, that much greater. Because you are weighing those options, right? You're like, I'm paying for this, so I want to give feedback. I want to make sure it's really worth my time.
Yeah. So we are planning to launch server subscriptions. We're playing around with the media channels right now, and they also have a server shop where you can sell like downloadable things. You can sell PDF, you can sell worksheets, you can sell templates. So all in all, it's really cool that you can build a community and then, like you said, build value into that community. So stay tuned for our server subscriptions. And if you're a creator and you want to learn more about how you can use Discord, or you want to learn more about server subscriptions, we put a link to their blog post in the description where you can learn more about it.
All right. Thank you to Discord.
So VidCon kind of kicked off some thoughts between you and I. You know, not only of like, this VidCon felt really different to me. We've been going to VidCon since 2017, where you and I walked in, had one meeting with Nestle where they told us we were like moderately in shape.
We may have to explain that now that you've brought it up.
Let's just leave that and move on, and walked right out. But now, like, you know, it's a marker of like the midway point to the year. It's a marker of a lot of reflection on the industry, a lot of reflection on our own experience, and felt like this would be a good episode to recount lessons that we've learned.
Yes.
Now, we've been on YouTube for 12 years, so we figured we should do 12 lessons.
6 from you
and
6
6
from me.
From me.
What? That doesn't make sense.
Yeah. 6 from you and 6 from me. Yeah. Okay. So let's start sharing them. You're going to share one. I'm going to share one. And we're going to riff on these. And then we will get to your questions in this episode as well.
Okay. So number one for me, biggest lesson. If you're going to start YouTube, I think you need to have some sort of element of visualizing what it will look like down the road or manifesting it. Because even for you and I, when we started, there was some sort of belief that we would be successful, that we could eventually build a team, have an office.
Yeah.
From very early stages, we knew what it meant to hit some level of success. And I think you have to believe that it can happen, right? Even us being on stage at VidCon, speaking with YouTube, things like that, you have to believe that that's possible, if that's what you want, right? Whatever your version is.
Yeah, that's a good one. I think one thing that we did early in our career is we literally took pen to paper and wrote out what the vision for a perfect day in our life was and week in our life, of like, where are we trying to get to? What should our days and weeks look like? And then actually drew with pen and paper what our office looked like too. I'm just like, what does the perfect office look like? Where do we want to go every day? Yeah, I wholeheartedly agree with that. I think like, you know, there's a nebulous concept of making it.
Yeah.
What does making it mean? You have to define that for yourself.
And many times you're trying to build something that's never been done before. Like whatever you're going to do is not going to look like what someone else is going to do.
Yeah.
So no one else is going to believe it for you. Like you have to have that belief first and foremost.
All right, my number one.
What do you got?
Is directly riffing off of a quote from Rick Rubin.
Okay.
Because how could I not?
I thought maybe you'd go in like a harsh analytics perspective and be like, your CTR needs to be above 10%.
Number one is it's a practice and you just have to commit to getting better at it. So there's a quote from the Rick Rubin book where he says, living life as an artist is a practice. You're either engaging in the practice or you're not. It makes no sense to say that you're not good at it. It's like saying, I'm not good at being a monk. You're either living as a monk or you're not. We tend to think of an artist's work as the output, but the real work of the artist is a way of being in the world. It's kind of the premise of the whole book, but I think that's true of being a creator. And it's not about being outcome oriented, right? Like when you come into being a creator, what you want to be really careful of, and what I think sometimes we struggled with early on was being very outcome oriented, of being like, I want the outcome of this video to be X. I want the outcome of this career to be money. I want like these outcomes to happen, when actually it's just a daily practice, and part of that practice is just discovery. You're like letting the world unfold in front of you, but that only happens if you're just in the daily practice of like the minutia of, is this video good? Is this story good? How could this hook be better? Is this frame good?
Yeah.
Is this thumbnail good? Like that's it. And to this day, 12 years in, that is what we do here, you know, and like all we do is the same thing that we did before. We're just better at it. And this moment we will be worse at it than we are in 5 years.
Yeah.
And all it will be is a practice of this craft of making videos and posting them to the internet.
I like how Rick Rubin also talks about it as...
Wait, you like Rick Rubin?
Love. Anyone know that I'm a big Rick Rubin fan?
You think we could get Rick on the show? I would like
I'd love that.
The funniest thing is like Rick Rubin would not work in a YouTube thumbnail, in my opinion. I don't think, but would be the most enjoyable conversation to have. And I think that's why we should try and get him on the show.
Yeah, I would love to talk with him.
Yeah, like he's not like a YouTube native creator to interview, but I think he has impacted us so much that we should explore getting him on the show.
I mean, if it's possible, yes. We
Or
talk about
interviewing him.
We talk about him enough.
You think he's just annoyed? He like listens to the show and he's like, oh, stop talking about me.
I think Rick Rubin is not listening to the show. Yeah.
Wow.
He's like standing barefoot in like a field,
I don't know,
getting
man.
in tune with himself.
What do you know? All right.
I
next.
don't. Well, what I was going to say real quick is that he talks about creativity and being an artist as being aware. And there's another quote from that book he says, focus on what you notice, but no one else sees.
Yeah.
And I love that one because it is so true that like the practice is actually just being aware of how you feel, stories you want to talk about, what you think is interesting, and what's going to inspire your work.
Yeah, also just aware of like when you're looking at a story, like what are you noticing? What is your unique perspective? That's the only way to stand out on YouTube is to become really in tune with your own thoughts on this thing. Because otherwise you're making the same video as everyone else.
He makes an analogy of, imagine if you went throughout your life with the same awareness of as if you were landing a plane.
Yeah, the same focus.
The same focus as if you were landing a plane.
On every task.
Yeah, on every task. the things you would recognize.
Never landed a plane, but I can imagine.
I can imagine.
Yeah, I can imagine.
Yeah. All right, number 2?
Yeah.
Number 2 is that good art is irrational and that there's a big difference between what you want to make versus what you have to make. And specifically, I'm talking about this physical newspaper.
Yep. If you're listening, Colin's holding a physical published press newspaper that we made.
Because it was really cool at VidCon to see people reading it, to see how well it was received. And we had a conversation with John Green about it. And he was asking, do you want to do this monthly and make it a subscription thing?
Yeah, he was like, this could be a good business.
This could be a good business.
Yeah.
And I was like, I don't know. I was kind of hesitating on my answer. And then he goes, well, yeah, that's going to totally change how you feel about it.
Yeah.
He's like, it's fun when you want to make it.
Yeah.
Because you can make it exactly how you want to make it. He goes, but it probably changes when you have to make it every month. And he's right. It does change it. You start to make different decisions when you have to make something as opposed to when you just want to. And I think when you're a creator, sure, there will be things you have to make, but it's important to always recognize the want to make. And can you stay in that pocket of this is what I want to make?
I actually don't think that, because this is number 3 for me, so I'll just read it off. I said money complicates things. You need an engine and a creative outlet. Be aware of what happens when you commercialize your creativity.
Hold on, I'm just writing down money.
Mo
problems.
Yeah, that's actually, just in summary, that's what it is.
Okay, great.
But I actually think you need both. I don't think you can fully remain in the pocket of like, I want to make this.
I agree with that.
I actually think you need both. You need, like, creatives need deadlines, creatives need constraints, creatives need to make money. But I think you have to separate, like, we used to say this a lot to young creatives that we'd meet with. If they had like a passion project, we'd be like, save that one for yourself. Don't try and sell that one. If you have a list of ideas and you're like, that's the one I'm really excited about, don't try and sell that one.
Yeah.
Don't, get a sponsor behind it. Don't do it. Just be like, that one's for me. I think that's like incredibly crucial. But you do need an engine. So you also need to observe the industry and be like, what's a commercially viable, version of my creativity that can get out there on a regular basis, get me, paid, give me a good foundation to go pursue the irrational creative stuff.
Yep.
And sometimes you also need an audience to do that stuff. Like, it feels better to create with an audience. So like,
totally
find that engine that's bringing you audience and monetization, and then find time. That's the next hard thing, is to find time to explore those creative outlets. That was my number 2, or my number 3.
Did you do number 2 and number 3? Or?
No. I haven't
so
done
you still have to
yet.
do number 2.
Yeah. All right. Number 2 is pick an audience and community that you truly want to provide value to and that you are a part of.
That's probably the most important one.
The most important thing.
I mean, I don't know what you have coming next, so maybe it's not the most important, so keep listening.
You don't know my list, man.
Yeah, I don't know your list. You don't know my list. But that truly is, if you want this to be fulfilling, if you want it to be also probably commercially viable, you have to focus on an audience that you want to serve over the long term.
Yeah. I think also it's just like everything comes into full picture from a purpose perspective when you care about the audience that you're providing value to. Everything. You're like, if you deeply know, then you're also filling a need of your own because you're part of the community. And every time that we've experienced that, we've been in like lockstep with our creativity. Specifically on YouTube, because YouTube is this dance between what you're making and what the community is watching. And so if you actually honestly are like, what I am making right now is valuable to these people, and I know that because I am one of these people, you will feel good about your creativity. At least me. Anytime that's not been true, it's felt really weird.
I also think from a business perspective, it safeguards you a bit from, the possibility that videos don't start performing or algorithms change or things that are outside of your control from a video perspective. If those things happen to you, you're still a member of this community that provides value. Think back to Lacrosse Network. If all of a sudden our YouTube channel was taken away from us, we were still very active members of that community.
Right.
And there were so many ways that we could continue to provide value and be a part of it. Same with the career right now. If you take away our YouTube channel,
we would still very much be involved in this community.
There's so many things that we could do. We could work
of.
for companies that work with creators. We could work for other creators. We could do consulting. Like, there's so many things you could do.
Yeah, we are actually a part of this community, which makes us care about the community.
Yeah.
And that like, it also makes me understand who's on the other side of this piece of content.
And it's something that in 2019, when we essentially quit.
2016, man.
No.
Oh, 2019.
2019, when we quit the Colin and Samir YouTube channel
Yeah.
and both started looking for jobs. I was very unsure of what type of job I could get or where I could provide value.
Yeah.
And it wasn't until really 2021 with the interview show where I said, I kind of understand now. We'll be fine no matter what, at least within this community.
Yeah. All right, you want to go next or you want me to go next?
Sure, I can go next. Okay. So number 3, what I've realized, you're not working on a YouTube channel, you're working on yourself. Like so much of this process has been about self-discovery and everything, whether it's competition or hitting milestones like 1 million subscribers. It's always been more interesting to see what it means about me and what it means about us than seeing like the true growth of the channel.
Yeah, in the Conor McGregor doc, which I told you about, he talks about like competition. And he was like, when you're in the ring and like, or if someone beats you or if you're feeling like jealous, like you're actually not competing with that person. You're competing with the emotion inside of yourself. You're trying to temper that emotion enough to get you back into the space where you can compete at your best. And I thought that was a really interesting, exploration of like on YouTube, when you have a video that underperforms, it's like a gut punch. But what you're competing with is actually that emotion and being like, can I pick myself back up and try again?
Yeah.
Is the question. And like the discovery of self of like, am I this person who can do this? And you're just, again, back to like the practice, you're getting better at dealing with all of this and getting a deeper understanding of why. Yeah. Why do I put myself through this?
That's what it is. It's completely a process of understanding why.
Why am I this? Why am I the way I am?
Like truly, like when we hit 1 million subscribers, once the dust sort of settled on that, I started feeling like a desire to do something else, to like hit some next milestone, and then you realize, oh, I'm someone who needs a milestone. It doesn't have to be a metric always, but I have now grown comfortable in hitting some sort of long-term goal. And then that's something I'm going to need another one.
Yeah.
Like you just start learning things about yourself.
This one is topical that I have. It's my number 4 because we're about to take breaks. But it's, you can take a break. And then I wrote, actually, you need to take a break. And the thing that I have realized, I said this to you earlier this year, it's like our most creative project won't happen until we take a break. I actually think you have to step away and experience something brand new. And that brand new might even be rest and like calming your nerves or creative energy down, tempering that to then come back and experience something. Like I think we forget about the kind of like kinetic energy of like a slingshot. Like you have to pull it back for it to get released. And the further back it gets pulled, the further it gets released. And I think taking a break as a creative is kind of like reloading the slingshot. But you have to like remove everything and actually do something different. And I felt it for the first time last year when I went to Europe for 3 weeks. That was one of the most uncomfortable things I've done in a long time. And even like, today, the day that this comes out, I'm on a plane to London. I can tell you right now, I'm horribly uncomfortable. I'm sitting on that plane and I'm uncomfortable. I'm like on my phone being like, what's happening? Do I need to do something? Our Mr. Beast episode is out. How's that doing? Like what's the next project we're working on? Who's the next person we're interviewing? How's the next edit going? What's happening on Slack? Like what's happening on Discord? I can tell you that I'm going to be going a little bit nuts on that plane. But once I settle in over the next couple days, I will come into a new version of myself that will be more creative.
Yeah, you have to make space for yourself to have something new you want to talk about or new that you want to pursue or new that you want to make. And it has to develop separately from me.
Totally.
Like I need to also be away and experience new things I want to talk about, new things I want to make.
I used to think that it was, to make it was actually who could work harder than the next person. Like I would pride myself on the fact that I could stay in our studio overnight and work and I didn't need a break. But I'm recognizing now that like, it's not just this like self-compassion of you need a break. It's actually like if you want to be a better creative person, you need a break. So you have to build it in almost like an athlete needs recovery. Like you have to build it in. It has to be a part of your thing. So I think that's like a huge lesson. And also we took a 4-month break at the beginning of this year. Channel's doing better than it's ever done.
Well,
main channel.
We took a 4-month break.
I'm saying from posting.
So like, but we were still working.
Even the anxiety of posting.
And within that, we were also posting creator support episodes.
Yeah. So I'm saying the main channel. Like,
the main channel.
What I'm saying there is not, we took a break. I'm saying if you have anxiety around not posting, it's unfounded, in my opinion.
Yeah.
It's unfounded because we took a 4-month break from posting on the main channel, and it's the best it's ever performed right now.
That brings me to number 4, which is, I think brand is more important than reach, especially in the long term. You know, thinking about what does your brand stand for as a creator? Is there iconography that people understand? You know, with Dream, it's like the mask and the green, or with Casey, it was the sunglasses. I think making sure that people will remember what you stand for and your ideas, even if you go away for 4 months, is important. And not just chasing space on YouTube's homepage, right, on their browse features. Like truly holding a place in someone's mind.
Yeah, you have to think about the sentence that someone says when they talk about you. Like if someone can't really describe you, if they're like, oh, he makes like viral videos, that's the worst place to be.
Yeah.
Because you're just,
that could be
anyone.
Yeah.
My number 5, everything is an experiment. Nothing is permanent.
That is true.
I think back to interviewing Ty Verdes on the main channel 2-3 years ago. And he talked about how this version Ty Verdes, you know, has clicked and it made him into a pop star, and he hit it. But he had like 12 different artist names before that, and like different things he was trying out. And he was just like, you can just try everything out. Nothing is permanent, you know? And I think there was times in our career where we would try something or have an idea, and I would think that like, I would get anxiety if like on the 3rd episode I didn't like it, because I'd be like, now we've committed to this thing.
Yeah.
But everything is an experiment. Everything. And it's a constantly changing experiment. And you're trying to like get signals from the experiment at all times and decide on what to do next. So I think that's a really important thing. Nothing is permanent. Whatever we look like today might be completely different from what we look like in 2 years.
I think it was Schultz that said this on the podcast. And again, I'm paraphrasing, but he said like, people only know you for what you give them.
Yeah.
And you know, we used to make so many update videos and tell people we're going to make this now, we're changing to this, we're going to that.
Yeah.
And it's just like, you can just relax.
Yeah.
Because whatever you're actually putting out in the world is what people know you as.
Yeah.
Right. Like, what?
God, the update video, what a classic YouTube.
Yeah.
You don't see them as much anymore. It's good that those are kind of going away.
Those are kind of going away.
I always have a craving to make
You
one.
always want to make the
I
update video.
love making an update video. I think,
and then generally Chris and I are like,
like stop it.
It's okay.
Yeah.
It could be a community tab post or a tweet.
Yeah. But I love an update video.
I know.
Because one day I'll make one. I'll just update people on things. Sure. When you're on vacation,
there are
and
a
I'm
lot of
back
people
here,
watching right now who would, and listening, who would love an update video.
Yeah, maybe I'll just post on Samir and Colin or on
in Discord.
In the Discord. Maybe I'll charge like a bunch of money for it.
A paid server subscription just for updates from Samir.
Just for Samir's updates.
It's like, today I'm making this type of smoothie.
Yeah. Today I've chosen to wear this corduroy shirt, which I really
so I've
didn't
switched
think
toothpaste brands.
I actually have recently.
Exactly. That was just a guess, but I assumed. You're always searching for a new toothpaste.
I'm always searching for a new paste. Yeah.
Okay.
All right.
I think I'm at number 5, right?
Okay. I'm at number 6, so I don't know what's happening.
Okay.
Go ahead.
So number 5 is that you need to have an understanding of what it means to be validated. And for me, my definition of validation is that validation comes when my idea turns into something that matches my taste.
Wow.
You want to clap for that, or maybe like some of these, you know?
One snap.
A couple
snaps.
snaps.
Lefty snap.
Okay.
That's a really good one. Say it again.
Validation comes when my idea turns into something that matches my taste.
Yeah, that's really good.
So there are many times when you're making something and you work really hard on it, and it feels like you're pushing a boulder up a hill because you can't get it to match something that you really like. And this whole journey has been about developing taste. And taste, I think, is one of the most important things you can have as a creator. An idea of what you like and what you don't like, because that's what will eventually separate you from everyone else.
Totally.
And sure, you know, when other creators you admire tell you that they like what you're doing, that helps.
Yeah.
That's great. And normally it's because they have similar taste. And then below that, I would say, is viewership. But viewership can have one of the biggest highs.
Yeah.
Even though I don't rank it when it comes to validation the same as like, do I like it?
I think I have a more fear-based relationship with viewership than like a good relationship with it. I'm more afraid of it than anything. But I would say my validation comes from when like people I admire recognize the work. So I guess it's similar to what you're saying. If they share the taste and they think that what we made, you know, like at VidCon, talking to Anthony Padilla, talking to John Green, and having them be like, we like what you're making. That to me is like super cool. Or like, did you see that really nice tweet from Courage?
Yeah.
Yeah, it was just super nice.
He was
just saying like
listening to the Try
he
Guys,
listened to the 2-hour Try Guys interview and said that like we did a great job asking questions. And I was like, just like people who are respected and that I respect, like saying that, you know, we did a great job. That to me has always been something I've been interested in.
Yeah.
That type of validation.
I think for me though, I've realized recently that that's a step below like myself.
Sure.
You know, even with this published press newspaper, when it was done and when it came and I looked at it, I was so proud of it.
Yeah.
Then I get scared to release it. Same with the Mr. Beast Burger documentary. I was so happy with how it turned out.
Yeah, you were gun shy to hand these out.
Yeah, because it was just like, that's going to change how I feel about it. Even though once we handed it out, people liked it.
Yeah, I see. Interesting.
You know?
Yeah, that is really interesting. I think like this whole career of being a creative is like holding up a mirror, right? So you're talking about self-discovery. It's like, you're almost like, I think there's probably some like psychology around people who are creative and want to create things, having an interesting relationship of like understanding themselves. Cause like this newspaper is a mirror. It's you looking at something and being like, that's me. That's something I made, you know, or even like viewership and validation. It's just like, am I anything? What are quantifiable ways for me to find out if I'm something?
Yeah.
You know, and maybe I'm like really far into psychology there, but I've been thinking about that quite a bit of like a lot of creatives grow up with this confusing relationship to validation and then pursue creativity to ask the question, what am I?
Yeah. I mean, with every upload, it's hopefully I like this. Do you like this?
Yeah.
Right.
Yeah,
and I think when creators experience the most amount of trouble is when they're making something they actually don't like, but they're doing it from a metrics or a money perspective.
All right, my last one, number 6. Take inspo from weird places, especially off of YouTube. I took an experimental film class in college that was like really weird, but it was really illuminating to understand like just different types of creativity. And I think back to when we first started on YouTube, so much of what we were doing for me was inspired by skate videos on VHS tapes. And what you brought in was ski videos.
Yeah,
you were really into like the ski community when we first started. Freestyling skiing. And like,
which was directly inspired by the skate community.
Yeah. But like ski and skate is what we brought to YouTube and to like a field sport in lacrosse. And I think that, you know, sometimes I just watch YouTube for weeks and then you're just like in this world of inspo from YouTube about YouTube and you're just like caught in this cycle. And I think looking at where you can take inspo from, whether that's books, newspapers, watching a weird old movie, you know, like finding inspo from places, I think is like so crucial from the weirdest places. Could be like vinyl, you know?
Yeah.
Could be anything, but just find inspo in weird places. So then you have to go do weird stuff.
Be weird.
Be weird. Yeah.
Get weird.
Get real weird. Yeah.
If you think you're weird, get even weirder.
Yeah. You know what's weird?
What?
The grimace shake trend. Okay, all right. Do yours and then we'll talk about that.
Let me.
Yeah,
we can get into
do
that.
Your 6. No, do your 6 and then we'll talk about the grimace
shake.
Again,
I'm a Rick Rubin on the weekends type of guy.
Not.
I'm not. I don't even know what this is.
Yeah, but that's just because you're out of the loop, not because you're a Rick Rubiner.
Okay. All right. Well, I take offense to that.
Yeah, go ahead.
All right. Number 6 is that YouTube is a ticket to the extraordinary. I know we've said this before, but I feel like uploading YouTube videos, you never know who's going to see it, what's going to happen, who's going to reach out. You're reaching out to me with my first video. The amount of videos we made early on that you couldn't believe who saw it, even if it had a small amount of viewership. That type of thing has compounded over time, but it has stayed the same, that uploading a YouTube video is one of the most unbelievable ways to put yourself in a position for just something to happen, something unexpected. And I think it's what keeps you and I both uploading and publishing videos.
Yeah, I totally agree. I think that's the thing that I want to hold on to the most.
That's why we'll do it no matter what, I think.
It's not because of anything else outside of it's like creating is really fun and interesting and the craft is great, but it also unlocks the world in a completely different way.
Yeah, I mean, you listened to Tim Ferriss for years and then
all of a sudden he's sitting here.
We're talking about Rick Rubin. He's freaked out because we talk about him too much and he won't come on the show, but someone else will.
Yeah.
All right, what do you want to talk about? Grimace?
Those are 12. Those are 12. We don't have to talk about the grimace shake, but...
you want to try and explain it to me? Like Samir explains TikTok trend?
Sure. But those are our 12 lessons. If someone maybe in the Discord community can recap those in bullets, because I lost track of where we were. But those are the things that came to us top of mind when we both sat down to think about 6 things.
How about the fact that we didn't double up. We didn't even talk about this.
Yeah, we kind of did on one of them.
They're a little similar.
About money, but like, yeah, it was pretty good. We didn't double up. That was good. So we actually came up with 12 ideas. That was pretty good.
All right.
Okay, Grimace Shake. So Grimace Shake is
pitch me on it.
Is like a purple shake at McDonald's.
Yep.
And the like Gen Z meta on TikTok is like starting out with like a really fun kind of like, hey, just got the Grimace Shake from McDonald's, gonna try it out. And then they take a sip and then hard cuts to like an absurd like thing of them like covered in purple
Like all
on the
hell
ground.
breaks loose,
all hell
basically?
breaks loose.
Okay.
Yeah. It's very funny.
So the Grimace Shake is a real thing at McDonald's right now?
Yeah. And there's some that are like so well edited, like almost like a horror film. There's one where a guy.
So this is the new Wes Anderson. Basically, like Wes Anderson has been replaced.
He's out. Grimace Shake
is
in.
in.
There's one where a guy takes the sip and he's like smiling in his kitchen, and then it cuts. And it's just the empty kitchen and the lights start flickering.
Oh, gosh.
And then he turns into like the ring girl and comes out of the pantry. It's like,
I got to dive into this.
It's super funny.
How does this stuff start, man?
I don't know where it starts from, but it's so interesting that brands must be, like McDonald's can't engage with it. They can't, because they can't be like, keep doing this, because some of it is weird and crazy.
It's horror content.
Yeah, it's like horror content and absurd
But
humor.
it's driving up the sales of the Grimace Shake.
Without a doubt. It's like the Minions trend when people like rented out full theaters to go see Minions. Like, it's crazy that TikTok can drive commerce just by people wanting to make a joke, and participate in a trend. It's something that Kevin Alaka said on the show, which was like virality comes from participation, which I think is really interesting.
True.
And it's no longer—
when people are using content as conversation.
Yes. And it's no longer like viral videos. It's viral trends because people want to participate.
True. Sounds like we're in the deep end.
We're actually not. We haven't answered your question yet, Colin.
Well, every episode can be different. I mean, how long has it been? Maybe we're in the deep end.
Whoa. Hold on. Let's talk about A/B testing before we get to the deep end.
I'll save some of my deep end stuff.
You and I helped announce A/B testing on YouTube. Thumbnails. Now you'll be able to put up 2 thumbnails, and that's getting rolled out to more channels soon, and probably will be rolled out to everyone in the next year or so. But Chucky from Mr. Beast's team tweeted out about A/B testing. And one thing that I really liked about this was the way A/B testing works is it picks a winner based on watch time. So it's not based on how many people clicked it. It's based on which thumbnail was the most accurate, like which one led people to want to watch longer.
Which is how it should be.
I think that's just, I'm like speaking, like I just expected it to be based on click-through rate.
Yeah.
But I guess it makes sense that would drive a lot of clickbait.
I understand how people would think that it's all about just getting people in the door. I mean, I remember the first time we spoke with Mr. Beast, he said that like people don't watch.
No, if they don't click, they don't watch.
If they don't click,
such
they don't
a simple
watch.
quote.
That was a simple one. Botched that one. But the reality is, it's not about just getting them in the door. It's about, is it a realistic interpretation of what's inside so that people are satisfied with what they're watching?
Okay, let's answer a question from the Discord.
Go for it.
I thought this one was interesting. How can walking channels monetize outside of AdSense? I'm a creator and a large consumer of walking videos on YouTube. If you're unfamiliar with this format, it's a long form, 20 minutes to 1 hour video of a person walking through something, often a city. I haven't seen creators successfully monetizing outside of AdSense, but I've heard on the pod that many creators' AdSense is less than 15% of their revenue. What approaches would you recommend to monetize?
So YouTube's number one walker,
in
my mind, is Craig Adams.
Walker, Texas Ranger,
as no one ever has called him.
Craig Adams.
He's primarily, actually, it's entirely hiking content. So it's not walking through a city; it's going on a hike. But it's long, slow paced, and from my understanding, he makes money through affiliate links of like what gear did he bring on the trip, along with potentially hiking guides and branded content. There are sometimes ads in those videos. Yeah,
I like affiliate links. I like ad integrations. The one thing that I really like on this, tourism boards. Tourism boards spend a lot of money to try and get people to their cities.
Yeah.
So I wonder if you could reach out to tourism boards, like reach out to, let's just say the Vancouver, Canada Tourism Board, and be like, these are the types of videos I make. Would you pay for me to walk through your city? X amount of people watch them. They want to live vicariously through me. I can tour your city by walking. So I would go a little old school and think about like, almost like a freelancer. Like, can this client pay me to make this video? But I also come with distribution. I think it'd be a great way for like city tourism. Like I saw today a billboard for Albuquerque, New Mexico here in LA. And it was like, it's at our kind of traffic jam. And it was like a really beautiful scene of these like floating, what are those called? Like hot air balloons.
Yeah.
And you're sitting in traffic and you're like,
I'd rather be there.
But that billboard is paid for by the tourism board of Albuquerque. So they have a budget. You could reach out to them and be like, hey, I'll walk through Albuquerque.
You ever been to Albuquerque?
Absolutely. Twice.
ABQ?
ABQ, man. Zendo coffee. Best cup of coffee I've ever had in my life. The Turkish coffee at Zendo. Just going to shout that out.
Wow.
For all my Kirky folks.
You trying to get a deal with the tourism board?
Listen,
I'll
take a personal deal with the Albuquerque Tourism Board. Absolutely.
All my Kirky turkeys.
Man, you were trying to say that for a while.
I just wanted that one out in the world.
It's like, all my.
What about, hold on, before we move on from walking content, what about breaking down the bigger trend of why do you think people want to watch someone walk for upwards of 2 to 6 to 12 hours? Because some of these videos are really long.
You've gotten into walking content, right?
Sure. I'm curious. Like, if there are people who are for the first time hearing about walking content.
Yeah. I don't personally have the patience for it. Like I can't watch it as something that's my primary thing I'm watching. I can watch it as a secondary or third screen where it's like we sometimes put it up in our office. Like we've put up Craig Adams videos. It's beautiful. It's like having the fireplace thing up from YouTube, you know?
I think that's it. It's a secondary screen experience.
But I think there might be some people who really watch it.
Watch every frame?
Yeah. You don't think?
No, I'm sure there's probably someone who's seen every frame of Craig Adams' hike, but
yeah, it could also be something you watch when you're like riding the Peloton, like a bike. You know, like an exercise bike, you're like watching it because you're like in a more beautiful place.
Yeah, true.
Or on a Stairmaster. I don't know.
Or a rowing machine.
Yeah. Or a elliptical.
Those are all possibilities.
Yeah. There's a question in the Discord about, is there any way for us to get the Published Press newspaper even in a PDF format? It looks awesome.
Yes, there will be a way to get the Published Press newsletter. What I'm planning on right now is putting a limited amount of them up for sale. And then a limited amount available through the referral program of the newsletter.
Their question is PDF format.
PDF, I'm not going to do.
Wow. Nice.
It's made to be held and read in person. It's
made to be held.
Yeah.
Yeah. So. Also, you know what? I like that because it's scarcity and rarity. I think those are two things that we need to value heavily going into the next chapter of the creator economy. Be more scarce and be more rare.
I'm also personally not a fan of reading PDFs.
No, I don't like PDFs.
So I don't want people to go through that.
Speaking of PDFs, I'm going to answer this question and then we can enter the deep end.
Okay.
Hey, Colin and Samir, hope you guys are doing well. My girlfriend and I started a platform where we support local arts through our YouTube channel. We conceptualize new creative live gigs and record them and release them as episodes. It's called Resound Magazine. My question is to both how to secure a sponsor for a big project. We have an epic artist lineup, great concept, and all the companies we got in touch with love the idea, but somehow not able to secure the amount. I'm talking about a budget of $12,000. Okay, cool. So this is basically like a live event series that's also being cut up and put on YouTube. In terms of securing a sponsor, you need to develop a PDF. You need to make a really good pitch. And the most important version of this pitch is deeply understanding why there is an alignment between your mission and the brand's mission, your value proposition, their value proposition, your audience, and their audience. You got to make sure those things are aligned. And you have to present that in a compelling way that makes them want to read it and makes them feel that this is the perfect opportunity for them. Now, additionally, you have to know if the sponsors you're reaching out to spend budgets like that. You know, and that might be through scouring and being like, who are sponsors of other live events with our same audience? Let's just focus on reaching out to them because they actually have someone at the company who is willing to spend money on something like this. So I think you have to do a lot of research into, are they actually aligned? And then you have to present them a story that's compelling enough to say, if you sponsor this, you're part of this, you're actually going to talk to the audience you want to talk to because I have that audience. We may or may not be working on a course like that.
There it is, yeah.
You know, built based off of some of those concepts and theories, and I'm very much in it right now. But I feel very strong feelings about how you pitch a brand. So
yeah, I would say make it clear visually how you expect the brand to show up in the programming.
Yeah, that's a good idea.
When, where, what it's going to look like.
Yeah. All right. Now we are in the deep end.
Ah, good.
Finally.
Nice.
Yeah, we are here in the deep end.
Yep.
With a gripe from Triple Cross John. I've been binging creator support for a couple of weeks.
Yeah, okay. I've read this one.
And I have a gripe. My gripe is that Colin often says something like, "Can I have a gripe?" I haven't had a gripe in a while. When in fact, he's just had gripes and said the exact same thing in the previous 3 episodes.
Okay.
Y'all probably don't notice because of the production schedule of creator support, but it's funny when I'm binging the show and Colin says I haven't had a gripe in a while, but he literally had a gripe 20 minutes ago for me, the listener. P.S. Not a real gripe, but just something I found funny that I wouldn't catch if I wasn't binging old episodes. First of all, thank you for binging.
Well, this person also doesn't understand the frequency at which I have gripes.
Which is?
A lot. Very often. I'm a man full of gripes.
Are you? You never have one.
Not on the show.
Oh, but just
in
generally.
life.
Oh.
So sometimes when we record, it feels like I haven't had a gripe in a while.
I see.
But if you want gripes, I got gripes.
I got one. Hit it.
The moment, I put this one in the Discord, the moment your zipper decides to no longer zipper, and then you've got 2 sides that are completely open, and you keep moving the zipper back and forth.
Terrible.
But it's not being a zipper anymore.
Terrible. Mine is Adobe Premiere.
That was my gripe.
Did you have one?
Last week.
Oh, God. If you're binging this episode, I'm so sorry.
It was a gripe and a delight.
Okay, but this gripe is like, you got a big episode, our interview with Mr. Beast, our podcast with him, and Premiere is slowing down, export issues, rendering issues. It's just like, I just want to make the thing. I don't want to be this technically savvy computer whiz. I just want to make the thing. And Adobe Premiere forces you to be like your own tech support.
Yeah.
It's so annoying.
I'm with you.
We're pushing like 2-hour long podcast episodes now that have B-roll and have text treatments and graphics. And I think as we look, I'd be curious, this is a question for all of you who make it here to the deep end, like, what, should we switch programs? Should we be using Final Cut? Should we be using DaVinci Resolve? Like, I think it's probably time that we switch because our episodes are pushing it in length right now. And we're essentially exporting out like a feature film every time we do an episode.
Yeah, 4K footage.
4K footage at 2 hours with multiple angles and graphics and B-roll.
Yeah.
So
it's keeping us.
yeah.
That's how
just end. What
I did right there is how I feel.
Yeah.
It's keeping us up at night.
Yeah.
Literally.
All right. Thanks to everyone who made it to the deep end. Thank you to Discord for sponsoring the episode and supporting us here at Creator Support. If you guys want to check out server subscriptions, the link is in the description. We will see you after the break.